Discover the heartwarming moment when a little girl asks a CEO, "Be my daddy for just one day," in the heart of a bustling Midwestern city, where skyscrapers rose like giants and life hummed with endless ambition. A little girl named Sophia stood on the brink of a profound encounter. At just 6 years old, her heart overflowed with dreams bigger than the tallest building. She lived in a modest home with her hard-working mother, Lisa, who worked 2 jobs to keep their world spinning. Every evening, Sophia waited eagerly for her mother to return, but often, the warmth she craved felt just out of reach. It was a sunny day when their school field trip took them to the gleaming corporate tower that housed Jack, a powerful CEO whose name echoed in boardrooms. As Sophia stepped into the building, her big brown eyes sparkled with innocent wonder. She glanced around, her imagination running wild. This was a world far removed from hers, a world where grown-ups wore suits and carried briefcases like superheroes wielding untold power. As she stood wide-eyed in the lobby, fate led her to collide with Jack. He was tall, with a sharp suit that seemed to swallow him whole. Just as he was about to breeze past her, Sophia's curiosity blurted out, "Will you be my daddy for just one day?" The words hung in the air like a fragile balloon, and for a moment, Jack was taken aback. His hardened exterior threatened to crack. He had spent years tirelessly climbing the corporate ladder, but here was a little girl pure, unfiltered, a joyous reminder of life's simplest desires. That's not," he stuttered, unprepared for such an innocent yet profound request. Caught in an unexpected emotional tug, Jack felt something awaken within him. This was not just a child's whim, it was a silent cry for companionship, a warmth he too had long grown distant from. He could almost hear the laughter and warmth of family echoing in the distance, but he was trapped behind responsibilities that blinded him. After a moment's hesitation, he surprised even himself by saying yes. Their day unfolded like a whimsical adventure. They swung high on playground sets, the wind tickling their cheeks. Ice cream dripped down their sticky fingers as they giggled, lost in a world of sweet delight. They danced to the tunes of a street musician, unaware of the time ticking away. Each moment stripped away Jack's armor, revealing joy he thought he had outgrown, but slowly, reality crept back in. Jack's corporate responsibilities loomed over him like thunderclouds. How could he let this child get too close when his world demanded perfection? Yet, Sophia's laughter reminded him of the little things, the moments of pure joy that made the daily grind worthwhile. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. When it was time for the charity event, where all eyes would scrutinize him, Jack faced the ultimate decision: stay safe in the cold embrace of his corporate persona or risk it all alongside the little girl who had shown him the beauty of vulnerability and connection. This moment swelled with tension. Would he overlook everything he had built for a fleeting moment of compassion, for the chance to embrace the family dynamics he had ignored for too long? As the siren call of status beckoned him back, Sophia stood nearby, the embodiment of hope and love. The question lingered thick in the air: would Jack honor the connection they forged, or would he slip back into his world of isolation? Jack's heart raced as the moment stretched on. Sophia's innocent face, filled with hope, was a stark contrast to the towering expectations surrounding him. He could feel the weight of his responsibilities pressing down, but the pull towards the child in front of him was undeniable. It was a choice between duty and the desire to embrace a warmth long lost. People were bustling around, preparing for the charity event, but in this moment, time seemed to stand still. Jack found himself overwhelmed by the need for connection, something he had buried under paperwork, meetings, and the constant drive for success. "Why not?" he whispered, almost to himself. Just as he began to approach Sophia, she turned her head to the sparkling lights of the city outside, her reflection shimmering with a mix of innocence and adventure. Suddenly, he felt a spark ignite within him, a longing for something different. "I'm sorry, He began, but then he caught sight of her, wide-eyed and full of belief, and his voice faltered. Could one day be enough to awaken the tenderness he missed? Uncertainty gnawed at him. Sophia looked up, her expression shifting to one of concern. You don't want to be my daddy, do you? Her voice was small, tinged with disappointment. No, no. Jack exclaimed, kneeling down to meet her gaze. That's not it at all. The truth was, he wanted to break free from the confines of the world he had created. I do want to be there for you today. Let's go make some good memories. He smiled, though a part of him hesitated at the risk. Just then, the loudspeaker announced the start of the event, snapping him back to reality. The corporate facade he had worn so long beckoned. All the company executives would expect him to give a speech, to wear that polished mask of perfection. Yet, it suddenly felt shallow compared to the joyful laughter of a little girl who needed him. Sensing his dilemma, Sophia reached for his hand, warmth radiating from her small fingers. We can help together. It'll be fun. I promise. Her certainty was infectious. Jack took a deep breath, heart pounding like a drum. Perhaps this was the moment to step away from the spotlight. For once, he could choose to be bold, to surprise himself. After all, how often do you get the chance to follow your heart, especially when it's guided by a child's faith? Jack stood tall, holding tight to Sophia's hand. All right. Let's make this day the best it can be. After all, it's a charity event. You know what that means, right? We can turn this into an adventure. Her eyes twinkled, and Jack felt a surge of excitement. Together they sprinted toward the gathering crowd, the laughter echoing around them. The earlier tension began to fade, replaced by anticipation. This was more than just a charity event, it was a chance to reconnect with joy, to live fully in the moment. Just as they reached the throng of attendees, a woman caught sight of Jack. Jack! Briefing, now! She called out, her voice sharp and demanding. The warmth of Sophia's hand slipped slightly from his grip as corporate protocol beckoned. Jack froze, torn between the call of duty and the innocent plea in the eyes of the little girl who had pushed him toward change. Yes, I'll be right there, he replied tersely, though every part of him wanted to ignore the summons and keep running, escaping into this moment of newfound happiness. With a last look at Sophia, who was watching him with a blend of hope and disappointment, he was faced with a choice that would define the path of both their lives. Would he answer the call of his corporate life, or would he forge ahead into the unknown, guided by the laughter of a little girl? As he turned to address the swirling crowd ahead, Jack felt a rush of clarity. Could it really be possible to have it all: love, joy, and responsibility? The answer would unravel before him, and the day was only just beginning. What if, by stepping away from everything he thought mattered, he discovered the real meaning of success? Would he have the courage to find out? The moment hung heavily in the air, like a thick fog threatening to swallow Jack whole. He glanced back at Sophia, the innocent spark of a child's hope in her big, brown eyes tugging at the very essence of his heart. For an instant, the chaos around him faded, it was as if the world held its breath, but the commanding voice of his colleague was an anchor pulling him back to reality. Taking a steadying breath, Jack turned toward the noise, forcing himself to focus on duty. I'll just be a minute, he assured her softly, offering a reassuring smile. Okay, Sophia replied, though the quivering of her small lips told him a different story. As he stepped away, Jack felt an invisible chain tugging at his soul, anchoring him to the disbelief in that little girl's eyes. He tried to shake it off, but the lack of certainty crept under his skin. Each step toward the briefing felt heavier than the last, each face he encountered a reminder of the life he thought he wanted. Yet, as the words of his colleagues droned on, he couldn't shake the notion that he was losing something truly precious. The briefing room was a blistering hub of activity, filled with executives shuffling papers and exchanging statistics. Jack's mind glossed over the charts displayed, focusing instead on the laughter he could hear filtering through the doors, the carefree joy of the event outside. A world of laughter seemed so far removed from the sterile environment he now inhabited. Jack. You okay? One of his team members shot him a concerned glance. Yeah, he answered absently, though even he could hear the lack of conviction in his voice. His eyes darted toward the exit, where the fun awaited him. Maybe it was time to stretch his comfort zone, to revisit the lost warmth of connection. Jack slid his hands through his hair, feeling the tension pull at his every nerve. Do you guys mind if I leave? Just for a bit. A few heads turned in surprise, eyebrows raised, but he stood firm. Deep within him, a soft voice whispered that this was not just a fleeting desire. It was a cry for change. After a brief moment of uncertainty, his boss waved him off. Go, Jack. You'll do your best work when you're not stuck in here. He didn't need telling twice. Jack raced back toward the bustling crowd, determination ignited. The moment he spotted Sophia, everything inside him lit up. She was right where he'd left her, peering nervously toward the festivities. Seeing him enter, her face brightened. Jack! She squealed, and he felt his heart soar. Ready for our adventure? He said, grinning, and she bounced on her toes, nodding vigorously. Before they even began their activities, he took a moment to just breathe in the lively chaos surrounding them, children laughing, parents chatting, bright banners fluttering in the breeze. Together they ventured into the mingling crowd, sharing joyous interactions. Jack felt walls around his heart beginning to crack, held at bay by Sophia's unyielding enthusiasm. A little tug here, a shy smile there. He saw how easily her light made others smile. Look! The face-painting booth! She exclaimed, her finger pointing toward a blue canopy. Okay. Let us be clowns. Jack suggested, instantly swept up in her playful spirit. They hurried to the booth, and soon enough, bright colors adorned their faces, a heart for Jack, a butterfly for Sophia. Yet, even amid the laughter, the earlier gravity simmered beneath the surface. What would happen when the day came to an end? Inevitably, reality would resume its relentless grip. As they posed for a picture, Jack caught the eye of an approaching reporter. Jack! Would you spare a moment for an interview? The moment stretched. He saw Sophia's eyes widen anxiously, waiting for what he would choose. Duty or joy? Could he bridge both worlds? Jack found himself standing not on the edge of that choice, but right in the heart of it. His heart raced. What would he say? Was it time to revolutionize the meanings he'd previously assigned to success? Suddenly, he understood, the true achievement lay in moments like these, and perhaps going forward, he could embrace this joyful unpredictability. But what if, he wondered, as the camera focused on him? Jack's breath hitched. The reporter's camera lens seemed to zoom in on his internal struggle, pulling him deeper into an unexpected introspection. A single question echoed in his mind: could he allow himself to be a part of this child's world, even just for a fleeting moment? Sophia's wide eyes mirrored his uncertainty, a fusion of innocence and expectancy that made his heart ache. Can you, Jack? She didn't need to ask, her gaze said it all. The world around them blurred, the music and laughter muffled, as if the only thing that mattered was this crossroads he found himself standing at. Just one day, he whispered under his breath, thinking of the walls he'd built around himself. What would it mean to step into that role, to be a pillar of joy for her, even for a moment? Images of his office, cold, rigid, faded away, replaced by vibrant splashes of color and laughter. Sure I can do that, he heard himself say, but doubt tinged every word. A mixture of excitement and fear bubbled within him. The camera clicked as he shifted uneasily, forcing a smile that barely concealed his turmoil. Great! What advice do you have for kids? The reporter's voice broke through, almost jolting him back to reality. Though they were questions meant for a seasoned executive, Jack felt like a kid again. He glanced at Sophia, whose face lit up like a firefly in the dark. For a moment, Jack felt completely lost. Be curious? It felt so trivial compared to the importance of his job responsibilities, yet standing there with Sophia, it struck a chord in him. Curious? Like about what? The reporter pressed on, his interest piqued. Like exploring what makes you happy, Jack replied, his own voice sounding more confident now. Don't be afraid to take chances, to laugh, to be yourself. It's okay to fail because that's how you learn. Just like how I'm learning to be here with Sophia right now. His gaze softened, locking onto her infectious smile. Sophia bounced on her toes, her enthusiasm radiant. Like a brave superhero. She exclaimed, her arms outstretched as if she could lift the moment into the sky. Jack chuckled, realizing that was precisely it. It was about bravery not just in business meetings or transactions, but in allowing oneself to form connections and embrace vulnerability. A superhero, he echoed, letting it marinate in his heart. Maybe it was time to take off the corporate armor he had grown so fond of. To be the man who embraced joy instead of running from it. As the reporter wrapped up, thanking them and stepping away, Jack felt lighter. In that brief exchange, something shifted. He turned to Sophia, who looked at him as if he had just handed her the moon. So, superhero Jack, what's next? They set off toward the event's maze of activities, and he felt an exhilarating flush of freedom wash over him. Let's find the big slide. He exclaimed, grinning from ear to ear. Exactly. She shouted. In her radiant energy, Jack discovered sparks of his own enthusiasm coming back to life, something he had abandoned long ago. As they raced toward the slide, laughter bubbling between them, Jack was suddenly struck by an overwhelming sense of purpose. Each moment spent with Sophia was a reminder of everything he had almost lost. As they climbed to the slide's peak, his heart raced not from fear, but from the dawning realization that he wanted more days like this. Days filled with laughter, connection, and perhaps a little messiness. When they zoomed down the slide, shrieking with joy, Jack knew there would be no more hiding behind his corporate facade. He wanted to embrace every colorful moment a little girl had shown him. But even as he basked in the bliss of simplicity, a question loomed at the back of his mind: would he really be able to embrace this newly discovered joy beyond just a single day? As they reached the bottom, breathless and giggling, Jack's heart danced with anticipation. Would he have the courage to invite others into this light? Jack! Let us go again. Sophia urged, pulling him toward the line with a fierceness that ignited something deep within him. And as he stood there, ready for another round of rosy-cheeked excitement, he couldn't help but wonder what tomorrow would bring. What adventures awaited beyond today? Jack's laughter echoed in his ears as he and Sophia sprinted back to the slide. Each time they soared down, it felt like they were leaving behind fragments of the weight he had carried for so long. The slide, glistening under the bright sun, transformed into a metaphor, a means of escape, a route to joy. Again. Again. Sophia clapped her hands, her excitement contagious. Jack felt his own heart racing, not from the thrill of the slide, but from the exhilarating sensation of spontaneity. He could hardly remember when he last let himself be so free. After their fifth run, they collapsed onto the grass, breathless and giggling like children who had discovered a secret world. Jack glanced at Sophia's flushed cheeks, her smile broad and full of life. There was something wholly untamed about their laughter, a raw expression of sheer happiness. What else should we do, superhero Jack? She beamed, nudging him with her shoulder. He scanned the festival before them, a swirl of colorful booths, games, and families, and felt a spark of inspiration. How about the face painting? You know, superheroes need cool designs. Yes. She squealed, jumping up with enthusiasm. They raced over to the face painting station, where a local artist was transforming children into dragons, butterflies, and, of course, superheroes. As they waited in line, Jack studied the scene around them. Children ran wild with painted faces, parents beaming with happiness as they captured fleeting moments with their phones. It was simple. It was joyous. He felt a flutter in his chest. Was it possible that he could carve out a little place for himself in this world, too? When it was finally their turn, Sophia eagerly chose a vibrant mask adorned with golden lightning bolts. Jack watched the artist work, painting with swift strokes, and felt a pang of admiration. It was a fleeting glimpse of the magic someone could create with just their hands. As the artist finished, Sophia turned to Jack, her face glowing with pride. "Look! I'm a real superhero now." Jack grinned, the transformation resonating within him. "You look fierce. But you know, every superhero needs a sidekick. Can I be your sidekick today?" "Of course." She threw her arms around him, her laughter bright and uncontainable. For the first time in a long while, Jack felt that perhaps he could be something more than a corporate figure. They spent the next hour darting from one activity to another. Sophia led the charge craft stations, bean-bag tosses, even a small petting zoo. With each new endeavor, Jack felt walls crumbling inside him, each laughter-filled moment softening the edges of his guarded heart. But even amidst all the joy, a nagging thought flickered in the back of his mind. Did this joy have to end? Would he simply return to his office tomorrow, back to his duties? Or was it possible to integrate this joy into his life, to allow moments of innocence and wonder to coalesce with his responsibilities? "Jack!" Sophia interrupted his thoughts, her little finger pointing toward a nearby tent. "Look! A magic show! Can we go? Please?" He nodded, swept into her excitement. As they approached the colorful tent, Jack felt that familiar flutter again. Maybe this day was just the beginning. They took a seat in the front row, anticipation buzzing in the air. The magician stepped onto the stage, decked out in a shiny tuxedo and a mischievous grin. Right then, Jack's heart brimmed with hope. Perhaps moments like this could be his new normal. Just as the magician began his first trick, a whirlwind of smoke and vibrant colors, Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket. He hesitated. But the momentary pang of reality was drowned out by Sophia's eager whispers and the thrill in the air. As the audience erupted in applause, Jack chose to ignore the call. In that moment, he realized he didn't want to go back to routine just yet. He wanted more magic, more laughter, and far more time with this little girl who had suddenly turned his world upside down. But deep down, he still wrestled with the uncertainty that came next. What would happen when the day was over? As the magician unveiled an astonishing finale, Jack turned to Sophia, wide-eyed and hopeful. "What if we could continue this adventure beyond today?" Her eyes sparkled. "Can we really?" Jack took a deep breath, excitement mixing with dread. "I think we can, but it will take some work. Are you up for it?" "Yes," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm echoing in his heart. The magician's tricks faded into the background, and Jack knew this was just the beginning. Tomorrow loomed large with questions, and his heart raced with the thrill of the unknown. What would he do with the courage he had discovered? The magic show ended, but for Jack, the thrill lingered in the air. He watched the crowd disperse, still buzzing with excitement. Sophia's laughter rang out as she tried to mimic a magician's trick, pretending to pull a rabbit from an imaginary hat. Jack chuckled, captured by her innocence. "You know, you make a pretty good magician," he said, ruffling her hair. "Thanks. But only if I can perform with you as my assistant," she replied, her eyes sparkling like stars. "Deal." He held his breath, savoring the moment. Was this real? Could he really take charge of his life like this? The day felt like stepping out of a fog, where all his burdens seemed to lift if only for a little while. They wandered deeper into the festival, guided by the aroma of cotton candy swirls and sizzling hot dogs. The vibrant colors of the banners fluttering high in the gentle breeze reminded him of a yearning he didn't even know resided within him. He craved more, not just the fun, but a change. A lasting transformation that breathed joy into his routine. As they reached a small booth offering balloon animals, Sophia's face lit up with childlike wonder. "I want a unicorn," she exclaimed, practically bouncing on her toes. Jack approached the vendor, struck by the way Sophia's excitement seemed to ripple through him, invoking fragments of his own childhood. One balloon unicorn later, they found a quiet corner, where Sophia admired her new treasure. The sun began its descent, casting warm golden hues over the festival. Jack watched her tie the balloon to her wrist, and wondered if he could ever capture this sense of awe in his own life. "Sophia," he started, his heart racing a little. "What if I told you I want to have days like this more often?" Her blue eyes widened. "Like, every week?" "Yes, or every weekend at least. It doesn't have to be a big festival. Just something fun. Together." He was surprised at his own vulnerability. "Yes. That would be so awesome." She squealed, throwing her arms into the air as if she were cheering at a sports game. Her excitement twisted something within him, something profound, but reality tapped softly at his shoulder again. He knew lives were built on more than just weekends and unicorns. "But it will mean changes for me," he added cautiously. "I have work commitments and all that grown-up stuff." Sophia furrowed her brow. "But you promised, super sidekick. You said we could be a team." The gravity of her words tugged at him. He realized that embracing this opportunity wasn't merely about fun, it was about making space for happiness in a life that had grown too rigid. He could incorporate the chaos and laughter into his routine. As they turned away from the booth, he felt a rush of relief. Maybe he didn't need to stay confined by the shapes his weeks had taken. A gentle wind rustled through the trees, almost as if nature itself encouraged his decision. "All right then," he said, his heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. "Let us put together our own superhero plan. Time, fun, and adventure. What else do we need?" Sophia thought for a moment, her brows knitting together in concentration. "You know what? I want to be a superhero every day. And you too." Jack grinned, feeling the warmth of her hope seep into his spirit. It seemed an overwhelming notion, but there was an electrifying spark of courage hidden within her words. "Every day?" he echoed, testing the idea. "Every day," she affirmed with fierce determination. Just then, as if the universe was aligning in their favor, another buzz echoed from Jack's pocket. It was a text, urgent in its dullness. His heart sank. He hesitated before lifting his phone to look. "Jack?" Sophia asked, noticing his change in demeanor. He swallowed hard and met her gaze. "It's just some work stuff. Nothing important." But as he glanced down at the screen, doubt started creeping into his mind. Could he really capture this joy in everyday life while still meeting his responsibilities? And what if the commitments he had made chained him down once more? "Jack!" Sophia squealed, diverting his attention. "The Ferris wheel. Please." A smile broke through his worries, and he nodded, allowing the magic of the moment to carry him once more. But as they made their way to the towering ride, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the real test of his newfound courage was yet to come. How would he balance this spark of joy with the reality waiting for him at the office? As they climbed into the Ferris wheel cabin and soared high above the festival, he held on to the feeling of bliss. The bright lights twinkled like stars, illuminating fresh hope in Jack's heart. "Look, Jack! We can see everything from up here," Sophia shouted, her voice tinged with astonished delight. Jack smiled knowingly. "And from up here, we can see the world, Sophia. But tomorrow we need to start digging for ways to make our dreams and reality meet." The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a blanket of colors that sparked the last seed of hope in his chest. The moment felt monumental, a stepping stone toward untold possibilities. And just like that, he knew that the moment he returned to his life would be unlike any other. Would he dare to redefine what was possible? Would he find the courage to be the father figure she craved, even if just for a day? "Hold on tight, little superhero," he said as the wheel began its descent. "Tomorrow is bound to bring the adventure of a lifetime." But deep down, he couldn't shake the chilling question: could adventures stem from the choices he had yet to make? As the Ferris wheel dipped down towards the festival grounds, Jack felt a strange tingling sensation in his chest, a mix of excitement and dread. The vibrant colors of the festival blurred together like a painting in motion. He glanced at Sophia, her eyes wide with wonder, and he felt a swell of tenderness wash over him. She was living in this moment, and he wanted nothing more than to seize it. As they stepped out, the laughter and chatter of the festival enveloped them once more. The lights shimmered as darkness fell, creating a magical atmosphere that felt unreal. Yet, the text on his phone lingered in the back of his mind like an unwelcome shadow, reminding him of the world he would inevitably return to. "Can we go again?" Sophia asked, bouncing on her feet, her balloon unicorn bobbing excitedly along with her. "Sure," he replied, forcing a smile. But an inner voice questioned whether he truly could immerse himself in another ride, another moment, when all he could think of were emails and deadlines. "Let us get some ice cream first," she suggested, dragging him towards a brightly lit kiosk. The promise of something sweet broke through his fog of anxiety and he nodded, allowing her enthusiasm to pull him along. They ordered 2-cone scoops of Rocky Road and mint chocolate chip. Sophia took a giant lick of her ice cream, her face lighting up like the stars above. "This is the best day ever, Jack." "Definitely one to remember," he replied, savoring the taste while watching her enjoy every moment. But in the back of his mind, doubts loomed like storm clouds. How could he keep this joy alive? What if tomorrow brought the dullness that had become all too familiar? As they walked, laughter filled the air. Groups of friends were snapping photos, sharing stories, and enjoying the festival's beauty. Sophia pulled him over to a photographer's booth. "Look! We have to get our picture taken." Before he could protest, she was already posing, her balloon held high like a trophy. He loved her spontaneity, but something deep inside wrestled with that sentiment. It wanted to cling to the realness of moments like these rather than risk returning to the grind of adulthood. That he stepped into the frame beside her, both of them grinning widely. The camera flashed, freezing the joy of the moment. As he received the printed picture, he stared at it, not just a snapshot but a reminder of everything he longed for. "Jack, can we hang this up somewhere?" she asked, tapping the corner of the paper excitedly. "Absolutely," he said, feeling warmth spread through him. "How about the fridge?" Sophia laughed, "And my room too." "Okay, your room it is," he said, caught up in the playful banter. But the reality of where they would hang it began to chip away at the glowing moment, a reminder of how much he still had to tackle. After finishing their ice cream, Sophia pulled him towards a stage where a local band played upbeat music. She twirled and danced, uninhibited under the fairy lights. Jack watched her, captivated. Could he dance like that? Could he throw caution to the wind and enjoy these fleeting moments without letting dread take hold? The truth was, every twirl, every giggle, every innocent demand to simply have fun gnawed away at his angst. "Dance with me, Jack," she yelled, pulling him towards her. Despite those nagging thoughts, he joined her, moving awkwardly to the music. But soon, he found himself lost in the rhythm, laughter spilling from his lips as Sophia jumped around him, a little whirlwind of happiness. In the heat of the moment, it struck him he could choose differently. It was within his power to reclaim joy, to make room for fun. Today could spark a habit of happiness, one that could spill over into saving him from a life defined by emails and meetings. "Sophia. If we're superheroes every day, we must practice our moves," he shouted, his heart swelling. "Oh, I have the best moves." She giggled, and for a moment, Jack felt a shift inside himself, a fierce determination to embrace that very notion. As the band continued playing and people around them danced, Jack found himself forming a new resolve. "Tomorrow, we'll figure out a way to make all of this real. For you and for me." Just then, his phone buzzed again, and the harsh reality intruded once more. He checked it hesitantly. Another work issue needing his urgent attention. Sophia noticed his change in demeanor. "Is it work again?" Jack sighed, wishing he could paint over that fear with the innocence of her joy. "Just a reminder of the grown-up stuff. Forget it for now," she declared, her voice filled with childlike determination. He looked at her, truly looked, and saw not just a little girl but a mirror reflecting his own desires. Perhaps the balancing act between light and responsibility didn't have to be so heavy after all. With the music still pulsing around them, Jack made a commitment to step forward into the unknown of tomorrow, to figure out how to weave joy into his life, not as a distraction but as a necessity. "Okay, Sophia, tomorrow we discover our superhero plan," he said. "Yay! We can save the world together." She cheered, her voice carrying over the music. As the band played their final song, Jack felt the weight of tomorrow's lesson, the spark of possibility growing brighter. But deep down, a question lingered in his mind: could he truly transform this playful energy into the life they both needed? As the festival began to wind down, he held Sophia's hand tightly. This new journey was just beginning, and the road ahead was full of promise and peril. Would they navigate it together, or would old habits pull him back into the shadows? Jack took a deep breath as they made their way through the shrinking crowds, the festival winding down like the last notes of a beloved song. The vibrant lights shimmered above them, a magical glow in stark contrast to the heaviness forming in his chest. Sophia's laughter still danced in the air, but he could feel the weight of another day creeping back in. "Did you see that fire breather?" she exclaimed, her spirit undeterred by the evening's end. "I want to do that one day." "Fire breather, huh?" Jack chuckled, trying to match her excitement. "That's quite a dream." "Yeah. And we can be a team. Superheroes and all that," she declared, drawing imaginary capes in the air with her hands. She spun around joyfully, her unicorn balloon bobbing behind her. In that moment, Jack could almost forget the responsibilities that awaited him. But as they approached his parked car, the reality of the bills, meetings, and deadlines reconvened like an unwanted storm. He felt a crack forming in the joyful bubble that had surrounded them all day. It was hard to reconcile the weight on his shoulders with the lightness in Sophia's heart. "Can we go to the park tomorrow?" she asked, her eyes gleaming with hope. "Just you and me? Maybe fly kites?" Jack hesitated. The thought of escaping into a world where childlike wonder prevailed was tempting. Yet, images of emails piled high and phone calls demanding his attention echoed in his mind. "I'd love to, but..." she prompted, her smile fading just a little. "But I might have a lot of work," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I can't promise a whole day off." "But you promised we'd be superheroes," Sophia cried, her voice breaking through the chill of his doubts. "Superheroes aren't busy all the time. They make time for their friends." Her words cut through him, illuminating the fog of excuses he had clung to. Jack thought about the stories he'd read when he was younger, the tales of heroes who didn't let anything stand in their way. They made choices, big or small, that defined who they were. Why should he be any different? Okay, Jack said softly, the resolve beginning to build inside him. "We can go to the park. Just you and me. No work. Promise." "Yay!" Sophia squealed, the pure joy radiating from her contagious. Her arms wrapped around him in a hug, squeezing tightly. Jack could feel the warmth spread through him, pushing against the cold worries that lingered, but as the embrace came to an end, doubt returned. He'd made promises before, but delivering on them was a different story. With every fiber of his being, he wanted to be that dad she saw in her eyes, to give her the world for just one day, to be the hero she believed he could be. As they drove home, Jack glanced in the rearview mirror at Sophia, her head bobbing with the rhythm of the music on the radio, the joy still apparent in her features. He grabbed his phone, heart racing a little. What could he do to really change his life? More importantly, how could he create a life that allowed moments like this to happen every day, rather than just glimpses? When they arrived and stepped out of the car, he turned to her with sudden determination. "When we get home, I want to write down all the superhero things we can do together. We'll plan out our adventure." "But what are we saving?" she asked, tilting her head in confusion. Jack paused, his mind racing. We could save fun. Save our time together. Make sure nothing takes it away. That we don't let the grown-up stuff get in the way. Yeah. We could save the world with joy. Sophia shouted, her enthusiasm catching him off guard. As they walked into the house, Jack felt lighter than he had all day. He began to think about how they'd restructure their lives to make room for these beautiful adventures. In those moments, clarity washed over him. Joy was just as important as responsibilities, not an afterthought. As he dug out a notebook and pen, he had no idea where this commitment would lead. Would he be able to maintain the promise of fun? Or could this just be another fleeting moment that disappeared once responsibility came back knocking? Jack's heart raced, an undercurrent of excitement mixing with apprehension. What if this was the beginning of a new chapter, one that allowed him and Sophia to live fully in the present? When he turned to her, he was met with the image of a girl ready to conquer the world. It struck him that perhaps, just perhaps, they could be each other's strongest allies in the adventure of life. But could they truly embark on it together, or would the shadows of daily life stifle their dream? In that moment of uncertainty, Jack understood one thing: the journey ahead was uncharted and exhilarating, just like the festival they had experienced. Would he be brave enough to face it? Jack opened the notebook and stared at the blank pages. Each line looked like a promise waiting to be filled. Sophia climbed onto the couch, her unicorn balloon floating close to the ceiling as she settled into a comfortable spot. The house felt quieter now, dim lights casting shadows that danced along the walls. "What's first, Dad?" she asked, her excited tone almost bursting with anticipation. How about a picnic?" Jack suggested, writing it down. "We could pack sandwiches and take them to the park." "Yes. And fruit, it has to be juicy." Sophia giggled, her small hands flapping in delight. "And chips. Don't forget the chips, Super Dad." He couldn't suppress a smile. How easy it was to get swept up in her enthusiasm. He scribbled her ideas, turning the page with each new suggestion. They talked about kites, bike rides, even a quest for the perfect tree to climb. Jack lost himself in her laughter and energy, feeling the weight of his responsibilities, at least momentarily, lift. "Okay, we'll need a superhero name," Jack said. "What do you think we should call ourselves?" Without a second of thought, she shouted, "Dynamic Duo." Jack laughed. "Sounds great, but we need a backup name. What if someone else is already using it?" She pouted with the seriousness only a child could muster. "Yeah, they can't outshine our awesomeness." Her determination struck a chord within him. Jack admired how she took her role seriously, how she could envision their day as an epic adventure. It made him wonder if he could find that same kind of clarity in his own life, to assert his needs without feeling guilty. After all, superheroes made tough choices, right? "Alright, I'm writing down Dynamic Duo and a backup name just in case. How about Jack and Sophia's Amazing Adventure?" "That's too long," she replied, giggling. "How about Super Duo?" Jack nodded, feeling lighter with every word. Their plans unfolded like a blooming flower, filling the room with warmth. He let go of the grown-up worries crowding his mind, committing fully to the moment. Suddenly, Sophia's expression shifted. "Dad, do you think you could we really do this forever?" Her voice lost a little of its spark, and Jack felt a pang of worry. "What do you mean, sweetie?" "I mean, like, can we always be together like this? Even when you get busy?" Jack froze. The reality of the question sliced through him with unexpected force. He wanted to promise her that they could always find time, but could he? How could he assure her that life wouldn't separate them again? "I want to, Sophia. I really do. But sometimes, life gets complicated." Her head hung for a moment before she looked back up at him, determination back in her gaze. "Then we'll make it not complicated. We'll save joy together." He felt a swell of pride. "You're right. We will. Just like superheroes." She beamed, and he couldn't help but stare. This was the heart of everything he had been missing. He realized he didn't want to juggle all his responsibilities alone anymore. Sophia's belief in him made him want to step up and take action. Let's make a superhero manifesto. With rules. Jack suggested, a spark igniting inside him. Yeah. Rules that keep everyone happy. She cheered, bouncing on the couch. Together, they brainstorming the rules of joy, including no phones during park time and make silly faces in photos. Each idea brought them closer, weaving a bond stronger than any worry lurking in the back of Jack's mind. As they scribbled down their ideas, each moment felt precious. But he couldn't shake the fear of what lay ahead. Could they truly protect their joy from the chaos of reality? Jack's heart raced at the uncertainty of their path, but he was ready to face it. This new adventure was just beginning, but could he find the courage to withstand the challenges to come? Would he ultimately be the hero Sophia needed, not just for a day but for a lifetime? And as he looked into those bright, hopeful eyes, he knew this was only the start. What would their journey bring next? The sun rose on another Saturday, spilling warm light across Jack's living room. Today was different. Today marked the first of many adventures as the super duo. Sophia burst through the door, excitement bubbling over like the fresh orange juice spilling from their breakfast table. Jack felt his heart lighten at the sight of her radiant smile. "Ready for our picnic, Dad?" she asked with a bounce in her step, her unicorn balloon floating nearby as if it were a banner of joy. "Absolutely," Jack replied, feeling a rush of exhilaration. They had made plans, not just for today, but for a future filled with laughter and connection. He threw together a basket filled with sandwiches, juicy fruits, and of course, the essential chips. They donned their capes, jackets turned inside out, fabric fluttering behind them as they headed for the park. As they walked, Sophia's chatter filled the air. "We'll find the biggest tree, and I'll climb it. And we'll fly kites. I want the tallest one." Her enthusiasm sparked something new in Jack, a determination to pursue this joy past the confines of today. "Tallest kite? I'm sure we can make that happen," he said, feeling the weight of doubt drift away like autumn leaves. With every step, he felt their bond strengthening. This day wasn't just about enjoyment, it was about building a legacy of happiness they both could cherish. At the park, the vibrant playground greeted them. Kids laughed on swings, laughter mingling with the chirping birds overhead. The bright colors of the kites adorned the sky like beautiful butterflies, fluttering in the wind. "Look! There's a kite shop!" Sophia shouted, her finger pointing like an arrow toward the colorful stand. "Let's check it out," Jack said, swept up in her excitement. The colorful kites, some shaped like dragons, others like superheroes, were mesmerizing. Jack scanned the prices, knowing they had to choose wisely, but then Sophia's eyes landed on a gorgeous blue kite with shimmering patterns. "Can we get that one?" Jack took a deep breath, glancing at the ticket price. He hesitated, but the sparkle in her eyes tugged at him. "I think we can make that happen," he affirmed, and together they beamed through the purchase. With their new kite in tow, they unleashed its beauty into the sky. Jack helped Sophia hold the string, guiding her as they ran together across the grass. In that moment, he was all in. The laughter that erupted from both of them felt like a pure expression of happiness, a symphony conducted by the joy of being present. She looked up at him, eyes shining with trust. "You're the best dad ever," she cheered, her voice carrying over the joyous breeze. Jack's heart swelled, his purpose invigorated. As they settled down for their picnic under a massive oak tree, he took a moment to absorb it all. The grass beneath them felt alive, the birds singing their cheerful tunes, and the sun basking warmth around them. "Sophia, this is what I want every day to feel like," Jack began, his voice steady yet soft. "You remind me that joy is everywhere, even in the little moments. I'm going to work really hard to keep our Saturdays special." Sophia looked up, her expression serious for a moment. "But, Dad, it can't just be Saturdays, right?" "No, sweet girl. It can't just be Saturdays, he admitted. We'll find ways to sprinkle joy into every day. Together. As they devoured their picnic, Sophia's laughter echoed through the park, feeding the lightness spreading through Jack's spirit. They chased each other, flew the kite, and climbed trees, laughter intertwined with a sense of newfound purpose. Jack realized that joy wasn't something to captivate on weekends only, it was a choice they could both carry into the whirlwind of life. Toward the end of the day, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky with crimson and gold, Jack's heart hummed with fulfillment. He knew this joy was just the beginning. They could take on the world together, navigating responsibilities while embracing the essence of childhood wonder. Jack! Sophia called out, breaking into his thoughts. Look! A rainbow! He tore his gaze from the fading glow of the sun. Indeed, a rainbow arched gracefully in the sky. He knelt beside Sophia, whose wide eyes brimmed with awe. Look at that, Sophia. It's a promise of good things ahead. Do you think there's treasure at the end? She wondered aloud, grin stretched wide. Absolutely. And we'll find it together, Jack said decisively. In that moment, he realized the treasure wasn't at the end of a rainbow, it was the connection they forged day by day. As they packed up and made their way back home, Jack held Sophia's hand tighter, the weight of tomorrow no longer heavy. Every step felt like a commitment to a brighter path, a promise of shared laughter and adventures yet to come. Together they would build a world where joy coexists with life's responsibilities, together, they would figure it out. Jack smiled down at Sophia, who looked up at him with trust and joy radiating from her small frame. He suddenly knew she believed in him, and that was all the motivation he needed. This was just one day, but it marked the dawn of many. Adventure awaited them, and Jack felt ready to embrace it. As they pulled into their driveway, Jack took a deep breath, savoring the transforming magic of the day. He could feel the sunrise of their new reality rising ahead. Tomorrow, they would make new plans, the dynamic duo, united in the pursuit of joy, and that was a promise he fully intended to keep. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the joy, comment your thoughts and feelings about this heartwarming conclusion, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation in their lives. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.